Welcome back to the channel, you Kookz. Today we're talking about Baja. It's winter and it's time to talk about Baja. So we're going to tell you all the things that we wish that we knew before we took our van for the first time down to Baja.
Are you guys heading to Baja this winter or planning on doing it in a few years? Well, thank Buddha. The Kookz are here to help you just know all the things we wish we knew before we headed down there. The first topic we're going to talk about is being prepared to go to Baja. Like, we did need to get quite a few items before we headed down there. And number one, most important, is obviously your passport. You'll need your passport to get your FMM, and you'll do all that before you cross the border. So a tip here is don't cross the border and then come back. It can be a huge headache. Kind of go around, find where you park, go in, get your FMM, and then get out.
Through the border.
You're also going to need some money when you head down to Baja, obviously. And the easiest thing we found was going to ATMs. I think that's what we did mostly. And we brought some cash. Cash was good for the vendors, like the food vendors and the campsite vendors, and there's just all kinds of friendly, happy Mexican vendors ready to take your US dollars. So if you have those, you can actually have some pretty good leveraging when you're bartering with them. You got your passport, you got your dinero, and now you're going to need to get auto insurance. And we used a Mexican auto insurance company. It wasn't very expensive, but I definitely think you're going to want it going down there, because you never know what's going to happen when you take your vehicle down there. And some people also get travel insurance. We didn't. We risked it and we were totally fine, but I'm going to let that be your guys' call. And then another huge thing is there's an app called Overlander. I'm sure you've heard of it, but you're going to really want to have that downloaded. It runs offline, and it really helped us when we were down there. We could have gone to Mexico without it, but then again, we couldn't have, because it has everything we needed.
Yeah, and we had never even used Overlander before we went down to Mexico, and now it's a regular app that we use.
Yeah, with that being said, if you're going to be out there overlanding, Mexico's pretty remote. So first off, Danny went and got Max Tracks, and I was like, what are those? Do we need those? And what happened?
We got stuck right away, and we had some, so we were able to get ourselves out.
And we got lots of other people out with our Max Tracks, so they became a hot item at the campsite. Also, anything for your tires to let the air down. So our buddy out there showed us these cool tire plugs. They're called Coyote air down tire plugs, I think. And we'll have a link in the description for all these items we're mentioning. Those are amazing because you just plop them on, push the button, and the air just comes out of your tire.
Yeah, the PSI is set at a certain pressure, so you pull the 20s out, you put it on, and you do whatever else while it's airing down.
So you'll also need a 12-volt air compressor, and you'll want something pretty legit. We had kind of a little dinky Walmart one, and thank goodness we had Rude Boy with us because he pumped up our tires a few times out there. And also, you're going to want a jack. I don't know if your Sprinter van came with the jack we have, but you'll want something much better than that to get yourself out of some sticky situations. We never had to use the jack, but once we discovered what our jack looked like, it was time to get a new one.
The next thing that you would need is some other emergency and recovery supplies. We used some right off of the bat, like the second day we were there, one of the jumpstart packs. One of our friends' starter died, and it was a whole ordeal. We have a series on that.
We literally saved the day with that jumper pack.
Yeah.
Like, it was nighttime, and we had to get out, and we had that, and it was all Danny, again, being prepared. So listen to your wives, guys, that are trying to buy all these last-minute Baja stuff. It actually comes in handy.
Yeah, and then another thing would be a gas can. There's lots of places throughout Baja where there won't be any gas for long stretches. Sometimes there are people sitting on the side of the road with their own gas cans trying to sell it to you. So that's how remote some of this place is people will be trying to sell gas in the middle of nowhere out of a gas can. So have your own. And another thing would be the OBD reader. This came in handy for us too. It seems like we hit every bump you're supposed to hit in Baja, and we needed an OBD reader. And luckily, a really nice man, the Lost Box on Instagram, he let us use his to get through and to find out what was going on. And then you also need a tow rope and some chains and a hook maybe. That came in really handy as we had some neighbors that had their own and were able to get some of us out when the Max Tracks failed.
So also, when you're out there overlanding in Mexico, another thing Danny did was she downloaded offline Google Maps. And that was a huge thing for us. You should definitely get some paper maps. We got these Nat Geo ones, and they were amazing. They're huge maps. And they really break down the roads if they're unsealed, sealed, four-wheel drive, kind of primitive roads. Thank goodness we had these, because we did get to a few impassable roads, and then when we pulled out the paper map, we were like, oh yeah.
We could have just looked.
We couldn't have done that.
And then there's also maps.me is another one where you can download a bunch of offline maps. Google Maps is another one that we regularly use. And then we also got the Surfer's Guide to Baja, and that was overwhelmingly helpful. We didn't know how helpful that little black and white book would be, but
that's probably the best book you can get. You get the Surfer's Guide to Baja, and you grab these maps, you're good. And that Surfer's Guide has like so much first-hand account. It's incredible. Links in the description. Big shout out to the guys that wrote that book. It was almost better than having iOverlander.
Yeah, and then on that note, download iOverlander. One of the last things that's really important that you bring and that you should already have in van life, but we've noticed a lot of people don't have it, is a shovel. Because when you go to the bathroom and stuff outside, you need to bury it pretty deep. So get yourself a shovel, and it'll also help you when you're getting out with your Max Tracks. We had to use a shovel multiple times.
And you'll want a full-size shovel.
If you can fit it.
If you have space.
Yeah.
We ended up buying one down there, and we were
using our little poop shovel to get out with our Max Tracks, and after some back-breaking work, we definitely got a full-size shovel. Yeah,
digging out an 8,000-pound van with a poop shovel isn't very efficient. For a much more in-depth checklist and a list of all the campsites and tons of Baja information, I couldn't recommend you go right now and download our Baja guide. We'll have a link here. And check that out. But now we're going to just get into overall traveling in Baja and
the experience and kind of what you can expect. And one of the things that you can expect as traveling through Baja is the inspection stations. So going in versus going out, it's a very different story. As you're going south, you kind of just fly through the checkpoints.
Yeah, even at the border, you kind of just go through the border. Then
they do like an X-ray of your video or of your van, and then they let you go.
Yeah, it was quick, easy, painless. Same way going back down south at the military checkpoints. We really had no problemos at the military stops south, but north.
Yeah, going north, you just had to really. One of our things was to say vacaciones. Like we're on vacation, and usually they could tell by looking at the vehicle and just ask us a bunch of questions about surfing.
Yeah, it would usually be like, where did you come from? Where were you last? What are you? And we usually said vacaciones, and
where we last went.
We had Vankookz stickers, and they come in the van. They make you open the back doors. They're going to do it at almost every checkpoint going north. So just be prepared. They're actually really nice. They have big guns, but they have big smiles too.
Yeah. So another thing that you'll want as part of the Baja experience that you'll need to look out for, and you don't want to run into it very often, especially at night, is the Mexican roadblocks, which are known as like the donkeys or the cattle. They kind of are free range everywhere. So they will be in the streets sometimes, and that's one of the most dangerous things about driving at night at Baja. You would think it's for some other safety precaution, but just because there's so much cattle that could be on the road, and usually they're black, so they're hard to see.
Yeah, that is very true. People tell you don't drive at night. I mean, that's a true statement. Even here in the States, it's not safe with all the wildlife, but
that is one of the biggest
yeah.
causes of death in Baja. Highway deaths is not like running into the cattle.
Yep. Sticking with the topics of road and safety in Baja, we're just going to kind of say there's a main highway, Highway 1. It runs from the top to the bottom, and it's mainly just a 2-lane road, one way on each side, and it's pretty bumpy and interesting in sections. It's not the most safe road, but if you're driving in the day and you're going the speed limit, sometimes there's activity on the shoulders, and
sometimes there is no shoulders.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a drop off, and
potholes everywhere, and
yeah,
semi trucks come flying through, but the semis do
I think they built this road in the 70s, and I don't think they've done any work to it since. But we're so grateful that there is a road going down there, because there wasn't before that. So it's pretty remote still. And the really cool thing about the highways being really narrow like that is there'll be a lot of semi-truck drivers on there. But the thing that they do that I wish that we even did here in America that's really cool is they put their blinker on so that you know that you can pass them and overtake them. So they'll put their left blinker on so that you can know to go around them, that it's clear. So that's cool, because you don't have to like swerve and make sure you can see. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to encounter lots of off-road driving in Mexico, especially if you want to get to those picturesque, beautiful beaches or the best surf. It all requires
going off the road.
Yeah, some very bumpy roads. We got sumo springs in our van now, and I think we do a lot better, but before it was a wild ride. It would just shake, and it was no fun, but we did so many hours of driving on dirt roads out there, and it was worth every minute.
And one of the things where it's like, where he's saying that it's not fun because most of the time all of your stuff is falling out all over the place as you're going over these roads, when you air down your tires to like 20 and you get those washboard, it's a night and day difference. You're kind of like, feel like you're in a Lexus or something.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that made a huge difference in our Baja experience. And big shout out to Vankookz CEO on that tip.
Yeah, changed our experience down there.
The maps will also help, because you'll get to some of these impassable roads, and Google Maps will send you on a wild goose chase in Baja. So stick to the maps. If it says 4-wheel drive and you're in like a Sprinter in transit or a normal van,
it's a 4-wheel drive
road.
You're
not good luck.
Yeah. Good luck getting out.
We saw plenty of 4-wheel drive Sprinters stuck out there.
Yes,
so
this is true.
We
helped dig some out.
It's next level.
Yeah. Another thing that people are worried about out there is, especially if you have a Sprinter, is the low sulfur diesel out there. And it exists. People think it's like some unicorn that doesn't exist. We went down there and we fact checked it for you guys, and there's low sulfur diesel everywhere. And it's different because their handle is black, when that would usually be unleaded here, and green is diesel here. So it's
yeah, that
different.
Is true. So they call the low sulfur something different, and I'll have it right here in the video, and I'll show you the gas pump here so you cannot mess up there.
Yeah, usually they pump for you.
Luckily in La Paz there's a Freightliner and Mercedes mechanic specifically for the freight vehicles, and there was tons of Sprinters over there. They were super helpful and like
very affordable. Yeah.
So we went there, and we were really glad we made that stop, because they really helped us get back to the States, and they're like, you can fix this or you can wait, and they're very honest. It was really cool experience at all the Mexican mechanic places we had gone to.
They genuinely wanted to help you.
Yeah. One thing to note when you're heading south and then back up north is there's a long gap on the map between basically El Rosario and Guerra Negro, where there's really no fuel. There's really not much out there. So fuel up, fill up your gas tanks if you're going to venture off to a campsite in between those areas. Just make sure you got gas in the tank and in the can, because there's a long gap there, and you're going to want to be prepared, because otherwise I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to get your van parted out.
It probably won't happen.
Also, last tip on the gas is the propane. You'll fill it up at what looks like a gas station. It's called the El Gaseria. And we learned this one the hard way, but we finally figured out what the El Gaseria was. And pro tip too, if you're coming down south and you're hitting La Paz and you're going down to Todos Santos and you're going to boondock and spend some time out there, get some propane in La Paz, because there's really no propane between La Paz and Cabo. So you're going to want to be prepared, because we weren't, and we had to kind of leave early.
Yeah, drive all over.
Now we're going to cover one of the biggest asked questions is it safe in Baja? And like, is the camping safe? So we found it overall very safe. I think we felt a lot safer because most of the time we were traveling in groups with friends and just people we had met along the road. And there's some awesome people out there along the road in Baja. And
yeah, we totally met some of our really good friends down in Baja on the road. So be open to meeting people and you'll find some pretty cool people out there.
But yeah, when you're going down, basically from Tijuana to Guerrero Negro, that whole block, it's just a little more dangerous, I guess you could say, especially when you're camping. From basically Punta Colonet to El Rosario, you're going to want to stay in like a paid campsite. We have a few in our Baja guide that we recommend staying in that area, but just to be safe, we had an issue out there, and you can check our vlog to see what happened here, but it was crazy. And just in general,
the locals don't even stay outside of...
Yeah, the locals don't even camp where we were, so...
Yeah, they also recommend that you stay at a camp, fenced area.
Yeah, so pay the 5 pesos and save your butts. So once we got down south, Baja California Sur, that was when I think we found the best camping, the best free campsites. It's more free and more safe once you get down there, like down in the Bahia de Concepcion. You'll have to mainly pay for camping, but there's some awesome sites. And La Paz, that whole area, we free camped. We even free camped at the Home Depot a few nights. And then all through the East Cape. I think those are our favorite spots.
Yeah, the East Cape, the Bahia, and La Paz area. There's a big area in La Paz that's really beautiful. Those were all of our favorite. And kind of when we tell people that are asking, what should we do when we get like when we get across the border, we kind of tell them, we would sleep in San Diego, or we would leave San Diego, go to K58, sleep there, and then drive as far as we can to get down to Baja Sur, because that's when it gets safer. And I mean, I think there's like one town that we would hit up before Baja Sur, and that's like Santa Rosa Laita, and that's a really cool fishing town, and it's really cool surf down there.
Yeah, and we highly recommend you checking out that guide, because we basically listed all the cool campsites and which ones were free and which ones weren't, but lots of free camping once you get south.
Yeah, but the favorites were the East Cape, Bahia, and La Paz.
Yeah, so you guys are gonna have a blast down there.
Save lots of time for those places. One of the unexpected things going down to Baja that we kind of didn't even know was a thing that we could do until we tried it once was doing van repairs or upgrades down there. We had a broken windshield and we were able to get a really cheap used windshield. So we did that, and we found a guy that spoke English, and he sent us to all the other places that we could maybe want to get more cheap stuff done. And we got a rack made out there. There's endless possibilities.
Yeah. Also, the mechanics, once again, if you have a domestic vehicle and you're having problems, like, you're in good luck. It's going to be way cheaper to fix your vehicle down there. So
yeah, the mechanics are actually really good down there too. We had a friend, Free Tired, who had his whole, like, usually here in America they would replace the part that he had to get fixed, but they fixed internally the part and put it back in. They're like legit mechanics out there. They know what they're doing. They don't just swap things out.
And of course, you're watching the Vankookz channel, and we couldn't get through any video without talking about food.
Our favorite topic besides van life.
So first off, this is seafood heaven, and most of the people are on the beach catching fish, and if you just talk to them, you can buy fish just basically right off of most of the people at the beach. And we were eating fresh fish almost every day. It was so awesome. It was like one of the best experiences to meet a local, get some pescado and cook it y todo.
Make some
muy
ceviche.
bien. So yeah, get into the fish game out there.
But some of the things that we did notice down south, like in Todos Santos, La Paz, Cabo, those areas had some health food stores for people that are really into the health food stores up in America. So a lot of us go down there and are requesting these things. So there's a couple stores where you can find some really good health food products out there.
If you have some things that you don't think you might be able to find in Mexico, we bought a bunch of bulk food on Amazon and we brought it, and we actually got through all of it. All you kooks out there who've been following our channel for the past 3 years know that we are hitting up all those farmers markets, even south of the border. And Danny found an awesome one in San Jose del Cabo. It was awesome.
It was an organic market, and the food there was just beautiful. It was prettier than in any health food store or farmer's market I've seen here.
And we even would hit up sometimes just these little tent markets you would see, and they'd be selling produce.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And there are large supermarkets. One's called Soriana, and there's other ones. There's a Sam's Club in La Paz. But we really enjoyed going to the Mercado Municipals. They're cool little like city center, jam-packed little markets. You can buy shoes, you can buy damiana, you can buy a pig head. You can do it all at the Mercado Municipal. So we highly recommend having an authentic trip to check these little spots out. And they're all in Overland. They've made it easy so you can find every grocery store you need.
The next thing that you'll probably need down there is water, and the agua purificada stations all around Baja is how everyone usually gets their drinking water. Even the locals do it that way. And the way that they do it is you bring in a container to fill up. So if you have a fixed water tank, I know a lot of people that had fixed water tanks that did have some difficulty. They did go and buy the containers and then fill up.
Yeah,
Go fill up the container and then fill up. So if you fill up with the hose, it could get really interesting. Just make sure you have an extra container.
Yeah, and it's always a fun time at the agua purificada. I don't know why.
He loves those places.
I don't know why. I really like them. And then last, if you're heading down there to surf, you're in luck. There's incredible waves in Baja. I'm not going to tell you where they are, but the Surfer's Guide to Baja will tell you. So check that guide out, and you can find anything you're looking for, from beach breaks to point breaks to reef.
Camping spots.
Yeah, camping spots. Just, we couldn't recommend that book along with our guide more than anything. It should really help you excel down there. So I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And anything we missed, we're doing a live video tomorrow, and we're going to go over it all. And then if you're up in the future, you futuristic people, you can watch the live video. I'll link it here, and you can see what else we discussed with our fellow Vankookz out there
that are curious about other topics that we haven't covered about Baja. So if you're curious, something we didn't cover here, come to our live and we'll answer your questions as best as we can.
Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We really appreciate you guys. We thank Buddha for you watching.
Yeah, for all you kooks.
Thank Kookz.
The kook in me recognizes the kook in you.
So like, subscribe, and we will see you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.
I have to pee so bad.